Welcome to SIIA's Executive Spotlight Series. I am joined today by John Roney. John is president of Advanced inSight. Advanced inSight is a SaaS-based business intelligence technology platform. So John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Rihanna.
So I see that you've just rebranded the business just very recently. Can you talk about what led to the rebrand? Why was it important to do it at this time? And overall, how has your business changed?
Well, we were called Advanced Search and Business Analytics before, and the name was really too literal. We were delivering search and business analysis applications, but we really were developing insight to our customers, whether it be a search application for an information product for a publisher, or be an analytic application for a company that was struggling to get insight into their business model from an operations, sales, and marketing perspective. And it all sort of came around to insight, which is the main value that we're driving for our customers. So it really was a rebrand to speak more to the value proposition, speak more to what we were delivering, and of course, speak more to our product platform, which we've just launched. We were pretty much a consulting organization for the first 2 years. And after 2 years of that, it became clear we were developing similar applications for all of our clients and doing it over and over again and doing it best of breed, but we were learning as we were going. So now we've developed one SaaS application, which is being repurposed into 5 different product offerings. And the umbrella brand is Advanced inSight. We have Audience inSight 360, which is a product we're very excited about. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit later. But that is using the same platform and at scale, and also using big data technologies, which we've built at scale now to help process a lot of log records, company information, disparate data stores, and all of that. As far as how's it going, it's really exciting. I mean, people love the new platform. It's easy to use. They can share very easily. So the collaboration functions are really excited. Our customers are really excited about. So you gain an insight, and then you very quickly can share that. You can find prospects, and you can easily export those out into mailing email campaigns. And those functions cut across all the different product sets. So we're really excited about it. It's been really well received, and now we're going to start going to shows and using a lot of our other marketing muscle to really get the word out into the marketplace.
So you mentioned big data, and it seems like you really have an emphasis on big data. Can you talk about why the emphasis is on big data, and maybe about some of the data stores that your new product suite supports?
Sure. Yeah, we made a big move into big data because our customers were really demanding it. What they're trying to do and accomplish is to bring together, in some cases, I think our largest number is 10 different data stores that a publisher or another customer will bring to us. And the data is all out in different packages. It's all out in different SQL databases across the organization. We had an early adopter who was a journal publisher who had 5 different data stores, and they were trying to get information out to their sales force. And the data, of course, coming in rapidly in some cases. So for them in particular, we got the customer information and all of that in, which we could have done in a non-big data processing frame. Once they started adding all the transactions that their customers were doing online, whether it be things in social media, whether it be all the traffic that they did on their website and mobile applications, for people that are reading content, people that are reading events, whether it's articles, videos, whatever. And of course, the social media piece, all of this information is colliding and coming in a rapid form and needed to scale. So what we did is we made a big investment in AWS. We use AWS API Gateway to push the data through and standardize on that. AWS has a product called Kinesis. And we do other big data things other than Amazon, but that's really been our focus to get things on a standard frame. So we do the data streaming through Gateway and in Kinesis, and we push that data and process it out in numerous things. But our our primary emphasis and expertise is in Spark. So we use Hadoop, HDFS for file stores, and we also use our search capabilities to really rapidly change the data and push the data into true entities. So the data is coming in a lot of free-form way with a lot of unstructured data, and we're structuring it so it's much more consumable on the outbound side. And that's our data processing layer, again, primarily using Spark. Once it gets into the data store, we support numerous frames there, but the primary ones are our search tools. We use a product called Solar, which is open source, and also a very popular one, which we use for our large-scale operations called Elastic. So that's sort of the data stores that we use primarily for our products in terms of marrying the analytics in with search so that people can find what they're looking for. We have one client who had, I think it was 200,000 shippers in their data store. So people trying to use traditional tools, trying to find what they're looking for across 200,000 entities. They really needed that to be standardized, and they also have to be able to find and search on it very rapidly. So that's still, at the end of the day, is a real core competency of ourselves, is the search. But for some clients, they want the data in more of a SQL-like database, and in that case, we use Redshift, which runs on Amazon. And we've also done projects with Google's BigQuery, which is SQL-like. I'd say Redshift is more true SQL orientation, but there's major benefits to doing that. It's not like your traditional SQL database where, you know, it's bringing all the records back. It's all multi-processing, very, very fast retrieval of data and into our analytics platforms.
So earlier you talked a little bit about the new product, Audience inSight 360. And if I'm not mistaken, that replaced an earlier product, Renewal inSight. What was the strategy for this product evolution?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's one thing about working closely with customers is they always tell you that the road ahead, or they point you to the road ahead. The products actually started as the information products that I mentioned earlier, whether it be helping people with their product catalogs or helping people with, you know, data like the shipping data that I spoke about. And then once the customers had that information, and mostly subscriber-based revenue publishers, because, you know, we helped make the information product so much more effective, they were able to charge more for it. Then they said, okay, well, then how do we know who's using it? And how do we evolve into more information about who's getting value and who's not, and how do we manage that? First, we started helping people with Google Analytics and their event tracking model, which helped to some degree, but you couldn't identify the individual user in that case. So that evolved into a product called Renewal inSight, which was very popular, and it really helped look at, you know, which customers. So one of our customers has also publishers as their clients, and they would have a customer, say like Time or some of the other publications, and they would have like a 20 user license. So we could very quickly show the account executives, the sales teams, who was actually getting value for that product and who was not. The idea of Renewal inSight being that you wouldn't come down to the last month and send the renewal notice and then have one of those customers come back and say, oh, guess what? You know, only 2 people used it. So we were giving people that sort of visibility in terms of what customers or which users at the customer are actually getting values and which were not. And of course, once we built that, then they said, okay, but what about the customers and the advertising that we have on our sites? What kind of information can you give us about that? And so then it became really clear that this thing needed to go to the next level. And that's where we came up with the product name Audience inSight 360, because it not only looks at, okay, you still get the same value that you got before, because we can tell you which customers are still getting the value, which are not, allowing the account executives to reach out to the client and say, you know, look, you know, these customers are not getting value. In some cases, they just left the company. So then you can manage that process. But now you can actually get leads in Audience inSight 360 for the advertising. You can actually show them which customers are looking at their advertising so that then they can send up follow-up emails. You can look at which people looked at events. It's great. We had one client who had event that they were promoting, and somebody went around the agenda and all the other things and information about who was speaking, and there were 150 clicks on that event, but no registration. So we're able to marry that with the subscription information or the the information in the billing system that said who's already signed up and who hasn't, to highlight to them, here's a client that you should really reach out to, probably with a telephone call. And that's what they did, and they were able to get the person to register to the event. So we also import things like emails, so we can see which emails are resonating best and are turning into the most usage, and what usage it's resonating into. So we really combine that all into one platform that gives you a complete 360-degree view of what's really happening with your customers, what that audience is doing or not doing in some cases, so that you can sort of poke it a little bit and get information and leads out. So we're getting information and leads out on directory listings, on advertising, because it's important. Like, okay, it's great that the directory listing is there and promoting the company, but who's really looking at it, and who can we do, and how can we follow up? So we're really enabling our clients in a much bigger way now in that regard. So we're really excited about it. Our clients are really excited about it.
That's fantastic. So I've noticed now there's 5 products under the inSight umbrella. Do you have any advice on achieving scale with the many different types of products and users?
Right. I think it comes back to standardization, to have a platform that's easy to administer, and a platform that has scalability in the back end. So you're really trying to get scale right on the SaaS part of it, where you're getting the each client calls something different. So it might be a newsletter to one, it might be an e-newsletter to another. All the different the channels and products that people are working with, you want to put that in the nomenclature. So our admin tools make that very easy. So you're mapping the data to the actual vernacular that each company has employed. So they all call something a little bit different. An advertising might be a directory listing at another client. So whatever those admin tools allow our customers to map very clearly the front end interface to the back end in terms of the data. And I think the standardization around the data stores that we have and the big data processing that we have, that makes it very easy to pour all these different content sets in and marry them up into one search index or into one major repository, and giving those tools to the client so that they can very quickly administer it, change it, make it more relevant for their firm. Like another example would be some customers just want to have a count of times that things happen, and others want to include dollars, and others want to include information about how much time was spent on each event or article, not just the number of times it was clicked, because that obviously makes it more relevant. So all these different measures are very maintainable and configurable in our platform. Across all 5 products. And the products range from things like the Audience inSight 360, we've spent a lot of time on here, but we also have Enterprise inSight 360, which will bring a lot of data in from a firm that has a lot of operational, sales, and marketing information. And in many, many cases, this information is spread out all over the place. So we tell them, look, we actually start at the end and say, okay, what are the insights that you want from this whole set of data? And in many cases, we define that, and then we move back through the chain and get the information out on the data stores. And in other cases, we start with the analysis on the data stores, because that's the client's perspective, and then bring them up to the front end tools. And we do that through proof of concepts, prototyping, so it's a very iterative process as well. And I think that's really important, because as soon as the client sees their data in the tools, that's when the light bulbs really come on. There's an old joke in search, and that the search is effective, and I'll tell you when it's effective, when I see the answer that I'm expecting. And to get there, it takes a lot of working with the client, and just like an agile development effort in technology, sort of an agile process, marrying the technology with the data.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, there's one other product that I just talk about a little bit, in that we're excited about. It's called Sales Rep inSight, which it runs on an iPad. So our platform is completely REST service based. So it's very easy to reach in and grab the data. And so we just have a different presentation layer with the mapping. So the sales reps can actually match their territory. I think every sales rep knows the situation where you're going for a 3-hour meeting and your client blows you off at the last minute. And what you can do then is you can easily go back in and it'll tell you the most relevant prospect that you have, which is in a certain distance from you. So we're getting a lot of positive feedback from that one as well.
That's very cool. John, congratulations on the successful rebrand, and thank you so much for your time today. For more information on Advanced inSight and SIIA, please visit our websites and be sure to stay tuned for next week's Executive Spotlight.